Yes, good evening. It is my pleasure to meet you once again. I would like to do question number 7 among the questions that I sent yesterday. The number 7 is a topic in Form 3, that is formula and variation. So it is specifically under formula. We are asked to make x as the subject of the formula. So our main interest is to make x is what we want to make as the subject of the formula. You will realize that how we are going to solve this one is the same aspect that we applied when we were making this equation that is here. This equation, in this equation, when we make x here to be the subject of the formula, you realize that we are going to form a quadratic equation, that is quadratic formula for solving the quadratic equations, where the answer, the general answer for this will be x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, just like that. So now let us now work out this equation which we are supposed to make the x the subject of the formula. What we do first, we cross multiply the equation. When we cross multiply the equation, we will make something that looks like y into bracket x squared plus f is equal to mx. Now we can open the bracket by multiplying y with everything inside the bracket. We'll now form y x squared plus y f is equal to mx. Now from here I want you to check this equation that we have formed here. This equation will give us the quadratic equation that looks like this one. So bring this mx this side. We'll form y x squared plus minus this one. When this one comes this side, we will form, it will be a negative, that is negative mx plus yf is equal to now 0. Check this one. The coefficient of y here, the coefficient of x squared is y. The coefficient of m here, x is also m. And we have also y plus f. So when we check this one, come here again. We have x squared and x alone and the coefficient. Here also we have x squared and x alone, and this one this one will be our coefficient. This one will be the constant yf. So what we do for us to solve here we'll now apply we are going to apply what is called the completing squared method. We are going to complete this equation. where we said for us to use the completing square method, the coefficient of x squared should be 1. The coefficient of x squared should be what? It should be 1. So what do? We divide both sides by y for us to make the coefficient of x squared to be 1. So what you do, you divide this side by y, you divide by y, you divide by y. So we will have x squared minus mx squared, mx over y plus f, because this y will cancel this y here, is equal to 0. Now in completing squared, we bring this one this side, the constant. We bring the constant, this constant, we bring it this side. We'll have x squared minus mx over y is equal to negative f. From here now, from what we learned in the first topic in Form 3, that is a quadratic expression, we said that for us to complete the squared method, we will add a half of the coefficient of x squared, a half of the coefficient of x squared, both sides. Whatever we do this side, we do to the other side. So that is, we always say, if you have more than one wife, whatever you do to the another, whatever you do to one wife, you do to the other one, for the peace to prevail in the family. Haya, let us continue. So now we will have x squared plus, now the coefficient of x here, will be will be x over y. The coefficient of x here will be m over y. So the a half of m over y will be m over 2y. Then we will now square that one, plus here should be minus, here should be minus mx over y over m over y x is equal to m over 2y squared minus f. From here we can now solve this one. So we'll have x squared plus m squared over 4y squared minus m over y x, is equal to m squared over 4y squared minus f. Higher. From here we now factorize this one. We look for the square root of this and the square root of this one, and we take the sign after the coefficient of x, which is now here negative. So we'll now say the square root of x squared is x minus, you take the sign before the coefficient of x. Then we look for the square root of this one. The square root of m squared is m over the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of y squared is y. Then we square this one. When we expand this equation, we will get this equation here. When we expand this in bracket, we will get this thing all there. So we have just summarized it, we have condensed it. Is equal to this one when we add to this. So here the LCM here, the LCM will be 4. The LCM will be 4y squared. 4y squared. 4y squared goes here 1 times 1. 1 times 1 times m squared is m squared, minus this one goes here 4y squared times this one will get 4 fy squared. From there now we get the square root both sides. From there we get the square root both sides. We get the square root of this, and also we get the square root of that one. So when we get the square root of that, we'll have x minus m over 2y is equal to positive or negative the square root of m squared minus 4 fy squared over 4y squared. From there, when we get the square root, we will have x minus m over 2y is equal to positive or minus. We can get the square root of this one here. We can get the square root of this 4. We can get the square root of 4y squared. When we get that, we will have m squared minus 4 fy squared over 2y. So to mean we have gotten the square root of this one. We have gotten the square root of this one. That gives us now this one. The answer is this. So from there we bring this one this side for us to remain with x, because we wanted to make the x the subject of the formula. So we will have x is equal to this one. If it goes the other side, it will be positive. So we will have m over 2y plus or negative root m squared minus 4 fy squared over 2y. If you are very keen, you can see that this one and this one are the same. So we can subtract this one. We can make, not that we can subtract, we can make them to be of the same denominator. So we will say x now is equal to m plus or minus the square root of m squared minus 4y squared over 2y, and this one now will be our answer. So I would like to encourage you to do a lot of mathematics, because mathematics is the key to success. For you to perform better in KCSE, you have to perform in the science